Hey everyone, and welcome back to The Crossroads, the intersection of faith and life. And we're excited. If you're watching, I encourage you, if you haven't watched this, go to our YouTube and you'll see some pretty cool props. I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah.
Pretty yummy props. And so, OG, Cheryl,
listen,
we've been doing some food stuff. If you haven't checked out last episodes, we were at Hooligans and we had a great time there. Great conversation. So we want to continue that. I think this season is a lot on food.
The food theme. Yeah.
And so we're excited. So this time we have brought some of our favorite cereals, maybe? I don't know if
I would say this is my favorite cereal.
I stopped by Walgreens and I picked up what I thought would be good. So
That's your favorite cereal?
No.
Okay,
I don't know what is mine.
Okay, you don't have a favorite. Not even.
I do a lot of granola. We do a lot of granola.
Okay,
at home.
granola's good. Yeah. Aldi has
But it's like
granola.
the store-bought one, so it's not always. It's like
It's not
same
sweet.
sugar as this.
So it's healthy granola.
Yeah.
Nah.
But it's still not healthy. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Whatever. That's a whole nother.
Mine is O's, man. O's, Post O's. I know we're not sponsored by Post yet, but
Yeah.
if you are looking for, if you're somebody who likes Cheerios, but likes them a little bit crunchier with some granola in the middle of them, this is it.
So do you think this is kind of their attempt of that?
But
Well, no,
I don't know.
Well, it's not. You don't have cinnamon.
No, there's no
So-
cinnamon. There's no cinnamon. But these are legit.
Yeah, those are
if
good.
you ever
I always
want
forgot
to,
what I always forget what they're called. But
yeah. What about you? What do you guys there? Right
Yeah,
there? What
so
do you got?
y'all went kind of healthy.
This is not that healthy. This has some sugar. Actually,
I mean,
whatever.
it sounds kind of healthy though.
Yeah.
You know, Cheerios, good for your heart,
this
whatever.
one's got
you know.
more calories than yours, so
That's probably true. Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right.
220.
But I don't think anyone when you see it on the shelf, you wouldn't think that at
Yeah,
first.
exactly.
Right?
That's-
Like mine, I'm
the
out here
false
with
advertising.
some Reese's Puffs. You know,
minis.
Some minis. Yeah, get the minis.
I'm gonna have to double dip on some of this.
Yeah, man.
Get
Yeah,
up in here, man. Well, I'm
Absolutely.
sharing, man.
We'll share the wealth. So yeah, this is
start slow.
for right now. This is my cereal
Elton,
of
you want
choice.
some? Just let us know what you want.
Our producer Elton is
I brought my Friendly Farms Aldi almond milk.
And
I got it.
again, you guys going healthy. I'm out here with whole milk. So
Listen.
typically I'm a 2% guy. Typically I'm a
Elton
2%
is,
guy, but
Elton
I
is
gotta go whole milk today.
in the back.
For those of you guys into ASMR though, listen to this crunch factor. Hold on. This is not something we normally do, but check this out real quick. Oh. Do you hear that crunch, bro? That crunch can be heard outside. That's a real crunch,
That's
man.
true. That's real.
The crunch
That's real.
that
And the thing is,
it
stays crunchy.
Yeah, the punch.
The punch.
But that's
the
crunch.
crunch that was holding.
Dude, and it
around the
stays like that. I could put this aside and wait a few minutes.
And
It's
you
gonna
still
come
have
back
that
and still be
crunch.
that
I'm
crunch.
gonna throw. Can I throw a couple minis?
Yo, you can get some of those too.
Do you guys double dip, or
No, I don't mix.
Nah, yeah,
I'll
I'll
get
mix.
those, man.
I'll
No,
finish this and then come back for a completely different one.
is there another bowl then? Because I. No, I'm got you.
Yeah.
I'll use it right here.
If you want some of this, just let me know.
I'm coming for that next.
Yeah, let me know.
Awesome. Well, cereal, right? Let me ask you guys: is this a cereal you've been eating since you were like a baby or a child?
I remember eating this as a kid.
You did?
Yeah, my mother used to get
Okay.
it. Sometimes. Other times it was healthier stuff.
Okay.
Sure.
So yeah, no, I did not eat this as
You
a
weren't
child
allowed, or?
for a couple reasons. Number one, this was not out when I was a child, so it was not an option for me. But number two, my parents were always getting me the healthy stuff, so like Raisin Bran, corn flakes.
Why they do that to us, man?
You know what it is they were trying to keep us healthy, but they didn't realize that as soon as we got our own money,
You're gonna be worse.
we went to
It
completely
would have
other end
worked
of
the
the pendulum.
opposite. If they had started us off with the
Bad.
Yeah.
with the bad stuff, as adults we'd be like, nah, give me that cornflakes,
There
no
you go.
honey, no sugar.
Exactly.
Because I care about my life.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I was like, I've already got the healthy taken
No
care
honey,
of.
no
I already
sugar.
did a bunch of that.
Right.
So let me go ahead and get my sweet
Right.
fix now.
Now, this is in the spot. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm gonna have dinner when I get home too. Like, don't get it twisted.
Oh, of course.
But this is
Snack.
good. This
I'm
is
glad.
good.
I'm glad none of us are the milk first, though.
That's important.
Oh, this
That's
true.
very
That's
important.
true.
We put cereal first.
Oh,
So
cereal
all
first.
those people out there that are kind of crazy.
How else would you know how much
I don't
milk
know.
to put?
The only time you have milk first is on your second go around. Like
yeah,
you have
because
a
it's
little bit
not
left.
left.
Right.
Yeah.
But,
This is deep stuff right here.
But what I'm curious is why we asked if this is cereal that you ate, because I think if you have a cereal that you ate when you were young that you thought you're like, man, this was great, and then you try it as an adult and you're like, this is too sweet, or I don't know what I liked about it. And I think it kind of segues to the conversation we were having where we've been discussing this throughout the season, right? Kind of how the church at times can be going in a direction that we personally may be in a different place, right? Or desiring of something different. And the same cereal that we tried when we were younger, when we try it when we're older, kind of leaves us a little unfulfilled, unsatisfied. I'm going to leave it there and you guys jump in.
I think when you talk about somebody who's coming into the church, or even when you're young, what resonates with you spiritually at that time evolves. I think it evolves, and I think it's good that it changes. You know, it's that phrase you've heard from, like, milk to meat, talking about milk, right? Sometimes when you're a baby, the milk is enough to keep you sustained, right?
Okay.
And then as you get older and more mature in your faith, you're looking for something else, right? And then every now and then, I think it makes you kind of question, like, am I getting what I need from my current environment, right? Not to say that it's wrong, but is it suiting me personally, right?
Right.
And then something we've been talking about on previous shows, and then what do you do with that information? You know what I mean? Like, it's and you know, we talk to a lot of people. We have a lot of friends that feel the same way in terms of they might not feel like I'm getting what I need from the current situation, and not even just current, like in the last few months, but I'm talking in the last 5-10 years. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So then, what do you do with that? Because milk, milk only gets you so far, and not everyone's ready for meat. So it's hard for one particular way of doing things to make everyone feel like they're getting what they need, right? Because you have different people. But I don't know. That's something we were talking about before we started recording about. What do we do with that information, or what do we do with those, with that thought? You know what I mean? With that idea.
I feel like I'm kind of in that space where I don't know. I feel like, you know, that general church service, it's more milk than meat for me. So I'm in a space right now where I'm trying to find like that meat, that thing that like satisfies my appetite. You know, I feel like, you know, I'll try. All right, maybe let me read this or let me do that, and I still haven't really found exactly what will scratch my current itch. And I think part of it, kind of like you were talking about, how it's like an evolution as you grow and as you mature. I think a lot of it too has to deal with life circumstances. And so, you know, as a kid, you know, if someone took a 5-year-old and tried to sit them down and talk to them about the stock market and 401ks, they're not interested. Like, put on Barney or whatever, Bluey, whatever, whatever the kids watch. Put that on. Like, what are you telling me about stocks for? But if you were to take a 45-year-old adult and say, all right, here's Blue's Clues, sit down and watch. What am I doing with that? You know? So the things that you're dealing with in life, the experiences that you're going through, I think kind of also shape what it is that you're looking for. So I feel like I'm in a space right now where I need something like solid. You know, I need.
Have you felt though
deep.
that it's actually a good thing? You know what I mean? In the sense that, like, for me, I'm talking from my own personal experience. Like, as I've been digging more into the Word, we've been doing obviously Hebrews, Acts, Romans. As I've been digging more, it's almost changed my complacency with the status quo. You know what I mean? Like, the fact that I've been digging in more personally, I've been getting enlightenment of things that I'm like, wait a minute, why isn't this being talked about? And it's kind of opened my eyes to that idea. Like, wait a minute, like, it's almost like why is no one else talking about this stuff? Whereas before, when I wasn't as involved in a personal Bible study, devotional type thing, you were like, yeah, I'll go to church on Saturday, I'm good. You know, hey, what's up, everybody? Cool, I'll see you guys next week. So in a way, is it a good thing that you're actually kind of like saying, wait a minute, I need more, I want more?
Oh yeah,
I think it is.
So
I'm wondering now. It just because you would fall over into is it Gen X? No,
79. They call it like Xennial, something on the border.
Xennial. Okay, so you're
Millennial
right
and Gen X.
I'm wondering because I feel like that Gen X on compared to the previous generations, right? That might be what this is. This might be a generational thing, right? We're hearing a lot of people, 40 to 50s now and down, right? 50s down that are starting to say, man, the same cereal I used to eat when it came, this idea of church is different because, when they do the research through the generations, right? As the generations continue, and then you said a line that really brought this to mind was like, what is it kind of like what is the value of this to my life, right? And you're not afraid to challenge the status quo, where the previous generations, right, the boomers, the silent generation, the 1900s to the 1960s, 70s, think about our parents, right? They're going to be in church regardless.
They're never leaving
because it's like, I don't question the institution is right. Wherever it goes, I go, right? And so the generations, I think after your generation and downward, we're thinking now, and I think there's a positive, and it can be negative too, but a positive is, that's where we get a lot more of understanding. Hey, we got to figure out what was up with our childhood, right? Let's go to therapy. We're okay with counseling. Let me ask questions, right? It's all these things of like, where our parents will be like, just take it, man.
There's no therapy, man.
We went through
You're
World War
fine.
II.
You're fine.
Deal with it.
We went through the
Deal with
Great
it.
the Great Depression. Like, their troubles are, but now we're like, no, we get life is hard, but we're also, even when you look at work, right? A lot of us will even leave the jobs we're in, if it's not conducive to a health, a
balance or whatever it is. Yeah.
And so that's unfathomable for the other generations, right? Very different world that we're living in too, I think, in terms of, how the price of everything, things that have gone on. We went through COVID, the elections that we were going through, the political systems and seasons. So I think it's all that together. But what I'm thinking is maybe a generational thing where we're at a point now where we're not just conformed with doing things the way it's always been, where other generations probably didn't even like it, but they didn't know or had the space to question it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And they weren't allowed to. So it's like, just don't complain. Just suck it up, And so I think I'm wondering if that's kind of what do you guys think about? Have you seen it's like a generational thing where you?
I think so. You said something, especially that I can say that I've seen, where my generations are more than willing to pick up our stuff and say, this ain't for me. Right. I'm out. I'm going to go do something else.
Right.
And like, I know my parents, the job that they were in was just the job that they were in. And the only way that they're changing that job is that job no longer exists.
It's kind of like job is first.
Yeah.
Satisfaction
is after.
Okay, cool. If you're satisfied, great. If you're not, then sorry.
It might be because the goal of life was different, right? For them, it's like, we got to set up a future for our kids. And for us, it's like, hey, I'd rather go through struggles with the kids and build resilience in them than be unhappy and not even be home.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. And I've seen people that are within my generation that were in the ministry and have decided, I'm not doing it. It is no longer my calling. Like, I was called to do it for a time. It is no longer my calling, so I'm going to go do something else. Not that my belief system has changed or that my thoughts or opinions have changed, but being in this sphere in this setting, not for me anymore. I'm going to go do something else. And I feel like as a kid, if I were to see you wouldn't see a pastor do that just wouldn't happen.
Right.
So I think that's just kind of emblematic of, like you said, our generation as a whole. We're more than willing to say, if this isn't it, if this is not meeting my needs or scratching my itch, I'm going to go find or do something else that will. And I think, the church needs to be aware of that, because if the church won't change, then you're going to have a bunch of people that are willing to just up and leave. But I think for us as individuals, we also have to be aware of the fact that, if this is not meeting what we need and what fulfills us, we, just like we would do in the secular world.
It's like in our generational nature.
It's in our nature to get up and do it. And so, when it comes to your spirituality, when it comes to your faith, feel free to say, I need to ask questions. I need to get answers to these questions that I have. I need to go somewhere that's going to answer these questions. I need to do some investigation for myself. I need to do some research for myself. I'm not going to just sit here and just absorb and take in and just believe without doing the work for myself.
How do you balance? Because I can hear, as you're talking, I can hear maybe an older generation saying, well, when we follow God, it's not, if you feel, you're going off of feelings and emotions and I don't like this here. Well, it's not about that, right? It's about being committed to service, which I understand. I agree, right? I mean, it's about, when you come to the church, it's not about what I can get out of it, even though there is that element, right, naturally, without, it's hard to unplug that from it. But it's like, okay, what can I give into it, right? How can I, pour into other people and bless others, right? So how do we navigate that? Knowing that a lot of our generation will just leave and be like, I don't care, and it's okay. We understand being a Christian is hard,
but I think it's to care enough to even discuss it. Right? The fact that we're even talking about it means we care enough to actually discuss it. For me personally, like leaving is not an option. Like, you know what I mean? So for me, like, it's like, what can I do to try to make a difference? Like, sure, am I going to change an entire system of how things have always been done? No, I'm just a guy in Palm Coast. But like, I feel like I have a passion to. You can do it. You can do it. I feel like I have a passion for people to experience what I've been experiencing.
Yeah.
And people say like, hey, your Sabbath school, like you're hype, man. You're like into it. The reason I'm hype is because I have a passion to share what I'm learning.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I'm not just hype because I'm just hype. I'm hype because like I feel like this needs to be talked about.
Right.
And right now this is just where we talk about this kind of stuff.
Right.
But it's like I just feel like a passion for people to hear the gospel, bro, just to get into the meat of the reality of the goodness of the gospel, bro.
Yeah, yeah.
The gospel is so good, man. When you start to understand and read and you feel God working in your life, bro, that's the changing stuff, man. It's not. I don't want to. I don't want to. I don't want to disparage any particular thing, man. But I'm just saying, like,
bro.
huh?
It's my employer.
Now listen, I just think that there's just so much minutia that we have to cut past. That other churches that I'm seeing and listening to don't have that same barrier because they don't have a lot of these barriers to entry to the gospel.
Yeah.
I don't have to believe in Ellen G. White and do all these things and do this and do that and do that and do that
dress
and do
a
that.
certain way,
And
just
then I
show
get
up.
to righteousness
Yeah.
by faith at the very end of it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? After I've done all this stuff, after I stopped eating pork and drinking alcohol and doing all these things, then I get the gospel. Give me the gospel first.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Start with the gospel.
Yeah.
Start with
Yeah.
the good news,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah.
Let's go. That's
Yeah.
it.
And I think that's what our generation wants. Like,
Like cut the fluff out.
Yeah, cut the fluff. Like we're a generation where we have seen the transition in terms of technology and how things have progressed, and we're at the stage now where when we want something, we just pull out our phone, pull it up,
right there.
and it's right
And
there.
that's a
It's
hard
at our
part because you
fingertips.
can find the best preaching at
Yeah.
any moment. Like,
And
I'd rather
yeah.
watch this at home than go,
And so you can't have a bunch of extra unnecessary stuff because that's going to be off-putting to a lot of people. People aren't going to stick around for it.
I've heard
They're
from
not gonna stick around
people
for
that
it.
have come to our church that are like, I would like to come, but there's just so much stuff that happens.
Yeah.
I don't have 3 hours in my day to go to do a service with y'all.
Yeah.
You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So and it's like I think our church it's very we do things because we've always done them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then the thing about it is, like you're in administration, you start cutting out some of these things, then you got half the church that's like,
Right.
what are you doing?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so you can't please everybody. You
Yeah.
really can't.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah, go ahead.
You asked the question like, what do you do, or what do you say to like the older generation or the people that say, you can't just kind of go off your feelings, go off your emotions,
flippy floppy or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's necessarily strictly feelings. It's a connection, right? Like you don't feel connected to something, but you want to feel connected to something, and so you're seeking the truth. You're seeking, that connection. And correct me if I'm wrong, but God says if you seek me with all your heart, you're going to find me. And so if you're in a church setting or an environment and that connection's not there, you say, I've got to go and try and figure this out and find it. And you are earnest about that. You're not just saying, oh, well, I don't like the people here and they, they just don't look the way I look and talk the way I talk. So I'm, I'm just going to bounce.
Yeah.
But you're earnestly trying to have that connection. That's not operating off of feeling. That's operating off of desire.
Conviction.
Off of conviction.
Conviction, right?
And that is something completely different.
Yeah.
And that's something that God wants us to do from my standpoint.
Yeah.
So I don't,
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
And it's very hard for someone to look at someone else and say you're operating solely on feeling because you don't know what's going on inside of there. You don't know the battle that they're having internally, the conversations that they're having non-verbally with God. You don't know. And so you can't say for sure that you're strictly operating off of feeling.
Right.
You may think it, but you don't know. And so it's best to say, I'm gonna pray for you, or I'm gonna, anything that I can do. I'm here to support you in your search and your journey. And if you're earnest about it, God will guide you to where you need to be.
Yeah.
He'll get you there because He's doing everything possible to save you. And so all you got to do is just take just lift your foot up and make a motion like you're moving forward, and He's gonna do the rest. He's gonna come and do the rest. That's all He's asking you to do is just.
So it's
want
like
something,
it's a difference in what commitment looks like maybe for generations, right? Where to some older generation, commitment looks like I'm day in and day out. This is what I'm doing. What I'm told, I'm sticking with it, and I'm not quitting until I retire. Right? This is it. Whereas we're saying our commitment is maybe not to work. It's that job that employs us itself, but it's to this calling that we feel God's given to us, and it may, as we said, right, you go through different seasons of life, and you know, you graduate and you're like, oh, I'm here, or you have a family, or you get older, you know, and that may change as time goes on, but you're still sticking committed to that calling to God and whatnot.
Well, that's the thing too. Like, what do you gotta think about it and kind of check yourself. Like, what am I committing to?
Right.
Because I'm a Christian first before I'm an Adventist.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, there's no heaven's not full of Adventists. We talked about this. So then, what am I committing to? What's more important to me to make sure my church denomination, me as an Adventist, is happy with something, or that I'm actually grafting into the vine? You know what I'm saying? Actually, into the vine itself. The vine, you know what I mean? And it's one of those things where, like, I think, like, I've been thinking, I'm a Christian first before I'm an Adventist. You know, that's I don't know. That's just kind of where I've been in my head. I believe in a lot of the truths of Adventism. You know what I'm saying? Like, I wouldn't be here if I didn't believe in the truths of it. But even if I slough that away, I think I'm a Christian first. Right. You know what I'm saying? That's who I'm seeking, Christ. And the church, whatever church denomination you're in, should be supporting and helping you in that direction. And they do. The Adventist church is excellent. But there's just certain things that I've been noticing lately that I just don't feel
there's
like
some elements.
There's some elements that I think are a turnoff for some people, and aren't present in other, let's say, non-denominational groups. I have a friend of mine. She goes to a local non-denominational group, and she said, I talked to her one time, and she said that their services catered around the unchurched people that don't go to church and throw on a shirt and tie and go to church. You know, you come as you are. And their normal Sunday service is about 600 people, she had said. Wow. For Easter, they had 1,500 people from the Palm Coast and surrounding communities.
Right, which is right here.
That's right here. That's us, right? Yeah. So what is it about their service that's more conducive for people who are unchurched to want to go in droves to hear what's being talked about?
Right.
What is it? Like, what are they doing that we're not doing?
Right.
I'd love to know what that is. Yeah. And my guess is it's more of the good news of the gospel and what Christ has done and is doing for you than other stuff that could pop up.
And I feel like a lot of it, though, with that, I agree. I mean, in terms, like we talked about, I think the length of service, now you look at most non-denominational churches, Baptist church, whatever, a lot of the mainstream, it's, you have you have your school programs or whatever, and then you go into the service, and it's just an announcement, maybe video, worship, and the word, right? So it's very broken down, very distilled. But to me, a lot of it also comes down to what are they doing the rest of the time. So a lot of these churches are really big on like life groups and so
during the week and stuff.
Yeah. And they're big on service, right? So when you go into it, kind of, our generations want that. I want to be a part of something that is actually making a difference, right? So when you go to it, you're like, oh yeah, or they're really proud about their church, right? Whereas sometimes you can see some maybe the older generations, and even younger too. We're kind of like, we won't really say what we are, right? Like, what church you go? Oh, you go to
I go to that church in Palm Coast by the fire station.
My dogs, and so every other Epic church, the
Park
View. They have the bumper stickers going. They have their lawn signs. Hey, we want to pray for you, right? And so it's like they're very proud about the church. And I think they've maybe managed to become like a simple church where they're only like, hey, we're only going to do youth, children, small groups, and worship, right? That's going to be the main three things. Where sometimes we spread ourselves thin, and this is another.
So what's the underlying reason of the shame? The shame, or just the lack of being like loud and proud about it? Because it's true. When someone, what church you go to, it's like, oh, like, go to Seventh-day Adventist Church on Palm Coast. They're like, oh, Seventh-day Adventist.
What is that? What do you guys do?
Because the underlying idea is, oh, you guys are the ones that.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Oh, y'all are different.
You guys are whatever.
I think it's because a lot of times what we will talk about is our worship. What are we known for in the community? Probably our worship service. We go to church on Sabbath, right?
Yeah.
As opposed to
we talk about all the things we don't do.
This is something I'm learning from South Point, right? The church I'm at now. Huge food pantry program, right? We're feeding probably close to 600 people each week or something like that.
Wow.
Yeah, so hundreds of, so Mondays and Fridays they come feed. And what's really cool, which is amazing to me, because I don't know how, but the leader that's been there, and credit to the previous pastor too, but they have, hundreds of volunteers. And I would say 60 to 70% are non-church members, non-Adventists.
That's huge.
And what's awesome is you go through it, it's people that at some point came through the food pantry line, and then came enough that the leaders were like, hey, do you want to come serve? And now they're serving. And so there was this moment a couple weeks ago where a lady came in her 70s. She fixed income and everything, and she finds herself now needing to get food assistance because she can't cut it with the price of everything. and she goes there. She has her box and starts crying. And so another food pantry lady, Grace, one of our leaders, comes up, sees it, and she said, no need to cry, because I was there months ago. It's okay, right? So it's really touching, because you read it and you're like, man.
Yeah.
So you sit that, and then now we're seeing, and the most baptisms they've gotten, most baptisms that they get come from the food pantry. So it's been really cool to see, to be a church that's
ministry.
known
for something.
That's actually meeting a need, right?
Yeah.
And so, but even then, you still have your issues, because we get food from Trader Joe's or Whole Foods or Aldi's and different stuff like that. And sometimes you get pork items, right? And you know how it is, right? So we give it out. We're not forcing people to do it, but the church members are like, we should shut it down. So some people would rather not have a ministry to help needs.
Because that's legalism.
Because of
The legalism. The legalism of it all.
We have pork. And, so... I don't know. I've just been thinking.
Can you imagine
on that
shutting down a ministry
because you don't
you don't agree with people's food choices?
Yeah.
Like, can you imagine that? Like
a lady got
that's like straight out of like Pharisee 101 manual.
We talked about it. I think it goes back to kind of at our DNA and our core, how we were birthed and what we came from is this unique remnant ideology that we have the truth, and it's like, I made it. I'm in the room. I made it. Okay, so I'm good. I mean, I'm gonna sprinkle a little bit here, where other churches are like their goal now. Right? Obviously, the end goal is for Jesus to come and we're going home. But the goal of this present life for many Adventists is like, as long as I'm in the church and I'm going to church, give my time, I'm good.
I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm done my work. Jesus is doing the right thing.
And literally, I've done my work.
It's literally. And other churches don't have that, right? Other churches don't have a present goal in that sense. Like, so their present goal is actually, I would say, and this is very, generic, but a lot of times it's to actually meet and help the current situation as we're waiting for the end goal, which is Jesus to come, right?
That's a good point.
Our goal is a lot of times just, we're in the room, I'm made, I'm good.
Yeah.
So then what? It's like, Pastor, no, we don't, I guess we'll give money. Other churches, like, their present goal is, let's make the world a better place while we're in it as much as we can, knowing that the better world is coming.
Which is the mission.
Yeah.
That's the whole mission. Go and make disciples. How do you make disciples? By meeting needs. That's the whole mission.
Right. It's funny how you mentioned remnant too, because this week we're doing Romans 11, which talks about like the remnant, right? And it's often, I think, I have a feeling, and I could be wrong, that our faith tradition is one of the few that actually calls themselves the remnant.
You're probably right.
As far as like
cults
too.
Yeah, that's true. But it's funny because like you think about like the remnant to me are those who follow Christ. Whether they're Baptist, Mormon, like those who are following the teachings of Christ and have a relationship with Christ and believe on Christ. That's the remnant people. It's not a denomination, right? The remnant is not a denomination, but I think because you can be lost in the denomination. You know what I'm saying? So then you're not remnant, right?
Exactly. Yeah. It's all about following God's call. Following his calling, and his calling for you is not going to be stagnant. Like the overall goal, like I just said, the overall goal is to go and make disciples and to meet needs. But the needs that need to be met are going to change as time goes along. Like even look at Jesus. Like Jesus didn't come out of the womb and start preaching. Jesus came out of the womb and he was a carpenter for a while. Like his calling was just be a good carpenter
for a moment.
Just be a good carpenter. Just whatever it is that you're constructing or building, just be good at that. You don't need to preach yet. Just build stuff.
Do it in that for that season.
Just for that season.
Yeah.
When he his mom said, "Hey, like they're running out of wine." He was like, "It's not my time yet."
Yeah.
I haven't been called to do that yet, but you're my mom, so I got you. Right?
That's good.
Your calling is going to shift even though the overall mission is the same. And so just make sure that you are connected and in line with God to listen to what he's calling you to do. If he's calling you to serve at a food pantry, just serve at the food pantry. That's it.
And it may be for a season, right? Don't make that your whole identity.
Don't make that your identity, because maybe in 4 months he's going to say, you know what? You've done what I've needed you to do here.
Now it's time.
Now I need you to go and work at a car shop and change oil. You know, and maybe
that's
that's
the best oil change in the world.
And that's what he wants you to do. Just be willing to follow his lead and follow his calling. And I think as a church, I feel like a lot of the times we just get stagnant. Like you said, oh, we're here, we made it. All right, we're good. Let's sit right here
and wait.
Don't do anything. Just sit here and wait.
Right.
And I don't know if some of that stems from like the history of our church, where it kind of was birthed out of we're gonna sit here and wait, or if it's just I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know, but
Yeah.
it feels like, generally speaking, that's kind of what we
the
like to do.
sentiment is,
but that's not what we're called to do.
That's
We're
right.
called to meet the needs, and the needs are always changing and adapting. We have to change and adapt with the needs.
Right.
And I like kind of what you said earlier too. Like the end goal, like I think the end goal should be to reach people. Like and I think Adventists, man, we make excellent legalists because for a lot of people, it's like it's enough that we go to church on Sabbath. Like that's enough.
It's about me.
Yeah.
That's
not
all me.
about,
Like I'm here.
the
It's
calling
Sabbath.
and the mission.
I'm
Yeah.
doing my thing. I'm here on the right day of the
I'm
week.
on the right, and I don't eat pork.
And that's enough. And it's I could just see like God, Jesus looking down, being like, "Are you kidding me?
it's never been about you."
You've reduced what we've done for you to that.
To Sabbath and pork.
To Sabbath and pork.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
it's time for us to move past that. Now, I'm not saying that we talked about this in Sabbath school. Like the evidence of faith, or is the evidence of a relationship is what you do, right? You know, we're
like the
talking
fruit.
about like faith of Abraham, right? They're talking about in Romans 11 because we're hitting it this week, and it's like faith without works is dead. Like Abraham was told to do something, to go sacrifice your son,
And he did it.
And he
did
didn't
it.
just stay home and say, "I got faith."
Yeah.
He got up and went and did
went.
it,
Right.
right? So
Right.
there is things you need to do or that
Yeah.
you should do when you
Yeah.
have faith. It's not
Yeah.
just I'm sitting home with faith.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like it's more than just like it's. I'm trying to think of the right words, but there's more to it than the things that you
not just
don't
intellectual.
do. It's not intellectual.
Yeah.
It's like it's how do you walk it out?
How you live
You know what I'm
it
saying?
out.
How do you live it out? I think that's what's missing in a lot of our teaching.
Yeah.
You know what I
A
mean?
real
like
rawness of what
Yeah.
it looks like every day. Yeah, we've talked about that. Yeah, I know we're pretty much done on time here, but I am going to share. We'll have E put this on. There's a conversation that kind of wraps a bit of what our sentiment is here from a pastor, John Mark Comer. He was pastoring in Portland, Oregon. And he talks on the crisis in discipleship and why church services aren't resonating. So it's about an hour and a half. Pretty interesting conversation. Not that we agree with everything he says, right? But there is a sentiment there that I think a lot of people are feeling at this time. And so I love what's been said here. I think of just Jesus' ministry and just wrapping up here of, when that he heals that blind man, right? And it's on the Sabbath. And then they call his parents like, was he really blind? And so he's like, and Jesus always went about it the right way. Right? He said, hey, go to the priest and get approval, right? You don't have leper, get proof from them first. Because, hey, I want to operate in the system, even though there's wrongs and stuff. Let's do it the right way.
Yeah.
And other times the system would be like, and this what happened in that case was he goes and they kick him out of the church, the synagogue, right, at the temple at the time. And Jesus goes and finds him, right? So I think it's interesting, right? I think as a pastor too, as you said, many people have left. That's kind of been I've talked to other pastor friends that are still pastoring. We've seen a lot of our buddies leave into other places and be successful in different realms. And it's like, well, but we need people to stay to be able to change stuff.
Yeah.
Right? Because if we all leave,
No,
we're like, all right, cool.
yeah.
Too,
And the thing is, like,
and it might be that it may be a season for some of us to say, hey, I need you to put more of your investment into your local community and whatever, right? But
And I think just one more thing. I know we're running a little bit tight on time, but if you're listening to this, like I don't want people to think because our last few
Jump
episodes
ship.
of the season have had a little bit of an undertone of dissatisfaction. The reason we're talking about it is because we care.
Right.
That's it.
You know what I'm saying? Like I love my church.
Right.
I love
And that's
our church
something
community.
generational that-
you know what I mean?
we-
Like if
we
I
care
didn't care,
enough to
I wouldn't be
critique.
here.
Yeah.
I'd be
We
at
just
home
leave. We
watching
just-
TV.
Yeah, we just leave.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So don't hear what we're not saying. We're talking about it because we care and we want to make changes. And these conversations we're having are organic. Like we don't have all the answers, but our thought is by talking it out, we can start to come up with more answers.
Right.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah, I love that.
we're passionate about this,
Yeah,
man. Like
I love
we're
it.
passionate about the gospel, man, about the good news, and I want everyone to hear it, man, and
That's
to
it.
feel it, and to be changed by it.
Absolutely.
So anyway,
what I love to see is if anybody's watching or even on Instagram, whatever, just drop some comments below. See if this has been your experience. Or if you feel like John Mark Comer says, maybe church services aren't resonating with me, with where I am in my life at this point, right? Whether it be my age, whether it's because I've been in church all my life, the church I attend. We just want to hear your thoughts, and I think this has been a real great conversation because it's real, right? This is real life. But I love Cheryl's point there. The main thing for us is to stay connected to God, to the vine, and that's what's gonna bear the fruit, right? It's not connected to a church, connected to a denomination. It's like connected to God, and the Spirit works and produces the fruit. So that's our challenge for you all. Not a lot of resolution here. 100%. We're still in this and we're still growing. I'm still getting paid by this too. But
tell them what we're thinking about doing in next episode.
Oh
or
yeah,
hopefully in
in a couple episodes. You saw a lot of food, and again, if you got places that you want us to check out,
let us
in
know.
the Palm Coast, Orlando, Jacksonville, St. Augustine
If you're
area.
willing to pay for us to travel to your city, we'll show up and eat your food over there too. We'll do
Host
it.
us, yeah. We'll do a whole worship service, music, preaching, everything.
We'll get it going.
But comment below where should we, what place, we might try to do some food trucks
and some street interviews type stuff.
Some street reviews, have some honest conversations with people there. That'd be interesting. So
I think at some point this season we want to get in the kitchen and do something in the kitchen too.
That's true.
We'll see.
We're mixing it up.
We'll
see what we do.
Keeping it, bringing it into the intimacies of our lives. So awesome. Well,
Good
great
stuff,
talk,
man.
guys.
Yeah,
And
we'll
talk a little bit later.
Peace
See
out.
you guys.
Peace.